Is music taken for granted? I know people like love the shit out of music. I know people like are obsessed with this shit, but do we take it for granted? Do we actually think about how much music is just kind of always a constant at this point in time right now? Especially, it's always there. It's on your phone. It's most places you go out in public. You can listen to music at home. You wait on hold with some company you're trying to get with, you get some sort of customer service or whatever. You're put on hold and they give you waiting music. It's just sorry, that took way too long to say that, but it's I wonder if because it's always everywhere, constantly, do we actually even notice that it's there anymore? I do. I mean, even though I've been listening to a lot of music that's just kind of an ambient vibe and it's not something that I really focus on, I love listening to songs that like grab my attention or like I kind of don't do anything other than... My favorite thing is dancing in my place here and just blasting some tunes and going ham and just like really taking it all in. But there's always a difference, I guess, between like if music is just there, if we actually like want to consciously like listen and pay attention to it. But I just wonder if... I'm curious to know what it would be like if every bit of music that's ever been made was just gone like that, like some fucking Thanos or the Leftovers shit where everything was just gone. People would lose their fucking minds, obviously. But then after that, right then and there, any bit of live music ever, like imagine if everything got deleted and we couldn't record, the act of recording music and sound was gone and all you had was live music. Do you think that people would appreciate live musicians more? People that actually play instruments for real and not, making music on a computer, of course, is just as artistically demanding. However, playing an actual musical instrument is completely different. Without electricity, your computer music is nothing. Nothing. Like all these even the electric instruments will make sound without anything plugged into them. But the acoustic ones obviously there's gonna be, some presence to that. So all I mean is with this, and that'll never happen. So this is all hypothetical, like an absurd kind of thing. It almost makes me want to write a story about it though, like something where all of it's just gone except and it's only in one place in a library, and then these people go and try to discover like this lost treasure of music and like lose their mind. Anyway, that's just a story idea and I'm unnecessarily throwing in here. But yeah, if music was just gone and then it came back, I don't know, how much more would we appreciate it? That's all I want to know. What if it was gone for like a year? Say all the music was just deleted for a year and then we got it back. What do you think we would appreciate it a little more? Again, I'm talking about like just an extremely hypothetical situation. But I'm wondering. And these thoughts are so like, I guess these are just pointless. This is such a pointless thought, I guess, because the fact that it won't ever happen, most likely would never happen. It's like absurd to even talk about it. But I mean this purely from a like human reaction. Like how would people react to music, especially live music, if recorded music was either like not as easily as accessible? If it was like, obviously like back in the day you can only listen to music on a fucking record player or be in the presence of a band or like, actually like be around it. And now that it's just around us, it adapts to us. It doesn't really get the kind of attention that it used to. But I miss that. It's kind of nice when you have a Walkman. When I was a kid, growing up in the 90s, having like my CD player, Walkman was such an amazing feeling, and I had to like go and I had a whole booklet of like CDs, and I had to like pick and choose like what do I feel like listening from an album standpoint. I'd be like, well, I like all of these songs on this one album, and this other band I like the one song from them. All right, how about I listen to the one song from them, and then I'll take that out and throw the album in. And it was just it forced me to. I remember being forced to be like very selective. Like, what do I want to listen to? I remember before my car had like Bluetooth in it, sometimes the auxiliary port would get fucked up and I would just throw CDs into it. So I had some mixed CDs and some actual albums, and I remember having the 6 different discs. It held it to 6 different discs in the car. and it became, at least I think it did. Either way, I remember, you know, having to be like selective when my auxiliary port was broken, being like, well, what album do I actually want to like listen to, or do I want to listen to a mix CD I made? Like, I'd have to be that much more selective, and making that selection felt like that much more satisfying. It's just like, oh, I really wanted to listen to this, and I'm, you know, I don't know, there's something different about like the scarcity of music versus the accessibility. I was talking about this with someone earlier tonight. It's like 5 a.m, by the way. I played a gig earlier tonight, but I was talking about this with my friend who plays drums, and we do a cover band thing, and we were talking about, I was just bringing up how it's like all supply and no demand. You know, no one like is demanding music. There's just an endless amount of it now, that any one genre you can like have, you've a lifetime of music in any subgenre, especially like you like fucking vaporwave music or anything, like any like very specific type of vibe like that, there's so much of that already, and that's, vaporwave's a relatively new subgenre, you know, like I forget, like, you know, if it's a genre, subgenre, whatever, that doesn't matter. But yeah, my whole thing is I don't know, I don't really go out of my way to look for music anymore. I wait for music to just kind of pop up, because I know it will, but I don't know, I miss like wanting to find songs that I liked on YouTube. Like my YouTube algorithm kind of defines if I find something. If I, for whatever reason, don't stop playing the music on Spotify and it starts like throwing random songs in there, you know, that's how I'll kind of find some songs like that. Mainly at this point, I don't discover new music until someone introduces me to it, or like someone says like, oh, check this out, or I just read about it or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I fucking love listening to some tunes, and I love it so much that I try not to listen to it in the background. Like if I'm listening to music, I like to listen to it and really pay attention to it. And then if I do have music on that's in the background, it's a specific, like it's ambient music anyway, so it's like the presence of it is just like all I want sometimes. But if I'm listening to a band that I really like, I love like turning that shit up and just you know, rocking out and just feeling it. I like I love dancing to it, and just being present and paying attention to it. And music is just, you know, I don't know, maybe it's not taken for granted, but it's just people don't pay attention to it as much. That's all it is. Like you got it all the time, everywhere, constantly. That, of course, we're not going to look at it as any differently than like you know, using a smartphone app or like anything nowadays that we just always have access to. Let me put it this way. When I was younger, we had a pool table in an old house of ours. Now, I fucking loved it at first, and I loved playing pool anytime I didn't own a pool table. But as soon as anybody owns a pool table, you take it for granted and it becomes a fucking table, and no one ever plays it anymore because you play the shit out of it for like a year or two, and then it just becomes another fucking table, and everyone starts throwing their shit on it. Why? Because you always have it, and you take it for granted because you don't ever not have it, you know. So that's where I think like we definitely take. I think I take music for granted sometimes too. Maybe like I don't know. I'm just always having something playing. I mean, I don't take it for granted so much as I don't pay attention to it maybe as much as I used to. Or I just listen to the same artists like all the time, and I guess I should find some new stuff. But anyway, yeah, I love like paying attention to things, you know. It blows my mind how people will throw on a movie or TV show and just like not even like watch it. Like they'll listen to it in the background. Some things are like fine to watch. They're easily digestible. Like certain like sitcoms or something are actually like you can watch them in the background because so much of it is dialogue driven that you can just kind of listen to it and get a lot of the story and all that from that. But not everything. There's so many things where it's like if you don't see like some sort of visual something in the show, or a movie or whatever, you're gonna miss it. And I wonder if anybody like really pays attention to anything as much as they could, you know. Nothing feels. I like to try to focus on one thing at a time, at least. I try to. I do the same shit. I'm saying this as someone who does it too. Like I throw on like a TV show and I'll walk around and like fucking do chores or something, you know. And I'm just like sometimes I do it, but if it's a show I really like, I'm not gonna walk around at all. Watching Severance recently, I was never not glued to the TV, but that's because that show was really impressively good, as opposed to as much as I love the show The Middle, it definitely becomes like, I love that show very much and I love all the characters, but it becomes very like, it's, you know, very much like every episode is very repetitive and it becomes very, you know, you just got to listen to it, and like a lot of the comedy is just from that. And if it is a visual joke, then you can literally just watch it for a second. And so you know, that show, where it's like not my favorite show in the world anyway. It's like I like it, but I'm not like, you know, gonna lose sleep if I miss a little something, you know, miss something in it. And that's why I like that show. I like that it's a show I can just kind of throw on and not give a shit about paying attention to it completely. And I still do. I can do either. Like I can, you know, there's all sorts of different types of media for different purposes, obviously, but. Yeah, with music specifically, I just like to give it the attention that it needs, you know, because music doesn't, like, because it's only like sound, you know, there's no visual, there's nothing to like actually like pay attention to, is where it's easy for people to be like, oh, I'm listening. Meanwhile, like, you know, you're listening to it, but if you're like reading something on here, it's like you're not listening, you're not paying attention to the words, you're not paying attention to the mood of it, as opposed to like a dark room and you're sitting on your bed and you're literally in a blacked out room listening to like Pink Floyd or something. That might have a different effect, you know. Music, if you don't pay attention to it, you'll miss all the lovely magical bits of it. So again, going back to the main point of this is, do we take it for granted and do we just like not even like realize when it's on anymore? I don't realize when it's playing, like at Publix or like at any grocery store or whatever, any time I'm out in public. Of course, anytime I go out in public, go out to a bar late at night, everything's just so loud that I kind of resent the music sometimes because it's too loud. But yeah, it's wild how music is too in the background is all I feel. It's too much of a background thing now, and I don't want it to be, because I'm a musician and I love making stuff that I want people to consciously pay attention to as well, and I want to give other artists that same attention that they deserve, because I like giving music and the arts that attention, and I love it. I love it very much, and I love to absorb it and have it be a part of me and have that experience with it. So yeah, just remember to not take music for granted, or just remember how much you really love it as well, you know, and just as long as you're appreciating it, as long as you're enjoying it, that's always a good thing. As long as people are loving the things that they're doing and they're enjoying them, that's all I want. You might enjoy it a little more if you pay attention, and if things are paid attention to 100% versus halfway there, you know. So anyway, I hope this made sense. I only had a couple beers tonight, but it's very late, so my mind is just kind of, it's 5:30 a.m. and I'm just kind of, I made a couple videos before this one too for another channel of mine, and I'm a little fried. I think I've been talking for the last like 2 hours. So I hope this makes sense to somebody else, and I hope I'm not the only person that feels this way. If I am, then whatever. This is my YouTube channel, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. Yeah.